All right, we're going live. Hello, everybody. If you're here, I know AV Leather. AV Leather, you came up very early, and welcome. Thanks for coming. And Jim has never missed a live stream. Thanks for coming to hang out, Jim. Let me know if this is sounding good. Not sure what I had going on here with the microphone, but I think it's good now. Oh, you can see this box. We should probably fix that, right? Oh, maybe we can't fix that. Oh, I know what's wrong. There we go. All right. Let's see if we got a box again. Did we fix all the problems that quickly? You can see all my camera settings. All right. Is anybody here? Matt, can you tell me if this is working? All right. I think it's working, but I'm not sure. All right, good. I'm glad it sounded good. Thanks, AV. All right, now that we've got all the fun stuff out of the way, I've got my cool hat. I wanted to show you one thing. I keep forgetting to show you this beautiful fake Christmas tree, but check out this ornament. It's a it's a shell cordovan ornament that Laura in our shop made last Christmas. What's up, Jake Dog? Thanks for coming to hang out. Check out how cool that is. Pretty sweet. The only thing that's scary about this guy is any of your leather crafters, you should be aware that the cordovan has so much wax and oil in it. The only construction that's holding this together is glue, so this is gonna fall apart with any amount of force. It's kind of like on any of the Horween stuff that has like a lot of oils in it. It's kind of like gluing two bars of wax together, which you don't really want to do. Timekeeper's here. What's up, guys? Let me. I got a whole table of stuff. I'll flip the camera around, show you. I've got it nicely separated into colors and stuff. So we'll take a look at some stuff, and then I can answer any questions you guys have for me, which I'm glad to do. We got a lot of construction going on here again today, so if there's a lot of crazy noise, please bear with me. But, oh, okay. So I will do my best to read the chat and move this microphone back over. What's up, Talkeetna? I was talking to my father-in-law about you randomly. He knows where your town is. Talkeetna. All right. Let's see. Let's take a look at what's shipping. Got a good amount of stuff. Everything on the table. There's some other stuff that's not on the table here, but everything that you see here was either ordered early this morning or over the weekend. So if you ordered something off the site, you can probably see it here. What's up, Justin? JW Sid in the chat there has a raw shell cordovan. He is the first raw shell cordovan wallet ever made. He has a Fat Herbie in raw shell. And JW Sid has that leather before anybody. It took us another 10 years to be able to figure out how to reproduce that consistently. So I don't know if you know that about your wallet, Justin, but you got a pretty sweet thing there. All right, let's take a look, and we'll start off with the English Tan Dublin leather items. So this whole left side of the table here, if I can focus properly on it, all this stuff is the English Tan Dublin. We've got some natural Chrome Excel. I've got a bunch of Franks here. This is a natural shell Herbie. This is the last private stock Herbie, I believe, that's shipping out. We got some one shots. We got some small batch stuff. There's a color 4 with reverse interior bugs and a color 4 double reverse Herbie here. There's Tony in color 4. And then we got some of the Key Buddies, the belt clip keychains. And those are awesome. We were out of these English Tan Dublin, but now we have a bunch more. So if you were into that one, we can do it again for you now. Looks like we got a vault key holder and a black Dublin Johnny the Fox. And this is a really nice piece of black Dublin. OG customer, still amazing wallet. What's up, Andrew? Oh yeah, you got a Rochelle wallet also. Though here, let me get my. I'm gonna have to take my headphones off. Yeah, there's the construction that we're talking about. So this is my Rochelle Herbie. And I wore this for a year. I mean, Justin has 11 years on me, and yours is very, very dark. But when this one started, it was kind of closer to that color. So the transformation that happens in the shell is just incredible. And I think the raw shells and the colors of raw shells, so this is raw natural, but we also do the raw denim. And we've done some raw amaretto and raw ultraviolet. Those are all super cool too. But this is my raw natural Herbie. This is one of the first ones that when we were able to consistently get the raw shells, it's one of the first pieces that we ever got. But JW Sid there has an OG before we knew how to make it one. What's up, Jim? All right, we got some English Tan Dublin. Let's rock through these. This is a Capone money clip in that English Tan Dublin, and I love the color of this guy. It's a little bit more orange of a piece on this one, and all the Dublin leather is an aniline finish, which means there's no paints applied to the finish. It's very much a natural look. So you don't see paint. You see more like, it's more analogous to looking at a stained piece of wood as opposed to like a painted piece of wood. So it's a really nice Capone going out today. And I kind of always forget to show how nice our edges are, but our team here does a really nice job making these bright and shiny edges, which uses a little bit of wax and a lot of elbow grease to make that happen. Here's a Bugs Moran, also an English Tan Dublin. Really nice sheen on this Dublin piece. And this one has a little bit more of a flat texture and in the figuring. And sometimes we get a little bit more dramatic Dublin pieces than this, but this is a nice clean look. But what's a little different about this, guys, is we have these vertical oriented card slots on the inside, on the left and right. This is an option that we've been sort of offering on the down low. So you can't, we don't stock these, but if you're into a vertical card slot Bugs Moran, we can absolutely do it for you in any leather. Let's not skip over this guy. This is one of the earliest collaborations that we ever did at Ashland, was with a company here called Chicago Comb. And these are the combs that they make. But originally they started making metal combs, which I actually use the metal comb still. I really enjoy it. And they needed, or they thought it'd be cool to have a little bit of an accessory. And they at the beginning, they didn't think they would have much demand for these leather sheaths, but they're selling, 4 out of 10 combs that they sell one of these leather sheaths with. And this is in English Tan Dublin. This is the best seller for them. This is a real, actual size of what this carbon fiber comb looks like. So the comb fits right into the sheath like this. We've got that little notch out to sort of complement it, which I really enjoy. So I actually use that comb in the carbon fiber and the metal. And then I also have a Model 8 comb from them, which has a handle on it, which I'm surprised how much I like. Check out this Dublin piece. This is another English Tan Dublin piece, but it's a little bit darker and more red for this particular one. And I was trying to explain, I distracted myself. But the Dublin is all an aniline finish, so you're going to see a range of color, even within the piece itself. So you can see when I flexed it a little bit, especially down the spine, we're displacing a little bit of the wax that was finished onto the grain of this leather. So you're seeing a little bit more of these undertones sort of appear from inside of the leather, which is really neat. And it's a little bit more of like an orangey tan on the undertones. This one looks like it has a little bit more wax, which is perhaps why it's a little bit more red and brown. Here's a look at the inside of that guy. Turned out really well. And these belts, we're having a hard time keeping belts in stock, especially on the English Tan. And this is the belt that I'm wearing right now. I've been wearing it for about a year now. I think we released these in this iteration of belts. This style we released about almost exactly a year ago. And in that time, we've sold several hundred belts, and the English tan is by far the best seller. We're going to try to do some new colors of belts soon, in particular the Color 8 Chrome Excel. We were looking at some of those sites earlier today. So looking forward to making more belts and trying to restock some of these. It's not particularly easy to stock belts because of all the different sizes. So in fact, any leather crafters here's a nice tip that we sort of figured out. So we cut all our belt strips, and then we cut the buckle end and attach the buckle, but we leave the adjustment hole side uncut. So this is just a really long strip with a buckle attached until we sell it. And then when a customer orders a size 40, in this example, we'll measure it and then cut this adjustment size to match that size 40. That's how we do it. It's really hard to keep like anything that's sized in stock. We actually have a hard time keeping watch straps in stock, so we do them made to order and we just make them within a week. It's usually how it turns out. There's one more English tan. This one's a little bit lighter. This is a vault key holder in that English tan. This one's like a little bit more yellow and golden when compared to some of that like more orangey brown reddish looking stuff. And I think that's the last English tan piece. Yes. I want to show you this. This is a shell cordovan piece, but this is the amaretto shell. And this is the color that reminds me of the color of English tan Dublin. Let's see if I can daintily grab this across the table. So these two colors kind of look similar to me. That's why I love the amaretto shell so much, is it reminds me of the color of the English tan. It's also really interesting to look at how the color shifts in that piece of shell on this key fob when I turn it. So at this angle, you can see it's a little bit more orange, a little bit more yellow in it at this angle. And as I tilt it, it's got more red and browns to it. It's much darker. And I find that directionality of color to be really, really interesting. Let's get into all this natural chrome excel here because there's some really cool pieces. And I guess we'll start with the belt. This is another one we have a hard time keeping in stock. People really like the natural chrome excel belts also, in addition to the English tan, although we just sell the so many English tan Dublin. People really like that color. And it's a little bit surprising to me because I don't think there's many pieces of footwear that are the color of that English tan. And I know it's sort of like a classic fashion trope to match your belt to your shoes. So it's kind of interesting to me that we sell so much English tan. We do sell a lot of natural chrome excel belts also. And that's because a lot of cool boots and shoes are made out of this chrome excel color, and it's super, super nice. I always forget to mention why our belts are special, but they're made out of extra thick pieces of chrome excel in Dublin in that case, and they're finished and waxed on the unintended flush side. It's super comfortable belt because it's unlined. It's just leather and thread, so there's not much to like dig against your body, and then the leather itself is just so nice. It's interesting to me because you don't think of belts being too different. It's just something that's cinch around your waist. But everybody that I've talked to about the Dublin and Chrome Excel belts have explained that these are the most comfortable belts that they've worn. And I'm not certain why it is. It's sort of like a happy accident. I just think it's because the leather's really nice. Ella Tam's here, Jake Dog. I see you guys chatting. It's hard for me to read from back over here, but I'll answer your questions after we skim through some of the stuff that's shipping. So this is a Capone money clip, also in that natural chrome excel. And take a look at the difference of color between what I call the table color or the surface color of the leather where my thumb is right now, as opposed to the spine right here where the clip is. So you can see this is a lot darker here on the table color, and the spine is much lighter. That's what is called the pull-up color of the chrome excel. And if you're very familiar with chrome excel, you've probably heard the term pull-up before. Chrome excel is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, pull-up leathers in the world. You can find it in all sorts of different products. And I think most places you see it classically had been boat shoes. I'll take a look at the spine here. So if I flex my finger underneath the leather like this, I'm creating what's called a pull-up. And it's just that migration of oils that are hot stuffed and tanned into this leather. And when I move them around, that's what's causing this color change to happen. And it's kind of a fun parlor trick to do that and then rub the oils back into place like I'm doing with my thumb right now. So that's kind of a unique feature of pull-up leathers and Chrome Excel specifically. This is a really nice looking Tony the Ant in that natural Chrome Excel. And on the Chrome Excel, we finish in the flesh side of all the leathers we use to give it sort of like a finished on both sides look. And that's so we don't have to use any liners or any materials that aren't leather. It just gives it a little bit of a cleaner look. So here's a Johnny the Fox. This is our best selling product, the Johnny the Fox wallet. And I think it's just because it's such a classic look, really traditional style with these 6 card slots on the inside. And then there's the 2 hidden card slots underneath and the bill slot in the back. I've noticed, I don't know why, but my leathercraft buddies in here, you might want to chime in on this. We seem to be the only one making a wallet like this. And I think it's because it's very difficult to make a traditional bifold like this. This type of construction is not easy to do. And it took us a long time to get good at it. In fact, when we first started doing it, there were several iterations and things that we have changed on how we make this to make it better. And it's been about a year now. We haven't had much to change and improve on it. So those are the types of things that I encourage leather crafters to do, is like take all the feedback you're getting from customers. If you have a guarantee like us that you guarantee things forever and you just repair them if they break, you will see where your failure points are. And for us, it was something like this here. We don't stitch around the spine of this wallet because the leather will cut the thread, especially on a cordovan wallet. All the flexing that's going to happen like this will eventually cut a stitch that is sewn around the back. Yeah, we do it here. Honestly, I've never been super happy about doing it here, but it has much less force because there's no pressure point stitched down on here. We don't tend to see these rip anymore. There have been some that we've seen. So those are the spine areas are the places they tend to rip. We double reinforce the stitching, that sort of back tacking on there and here. And the other place that I had seen other wallets break are the edges. So all of our edges are waxed and burnished. You might see some construction where they take this outside piece of leather, make it a little longer, thin it down, and then wrap it over the edge. Those wallets will break on the corners very easily. And you also see them rip. You kind of see them rip all over the place. So we've done so many things to just avoid ripping. But this is a tough wallet to make. So natural Chrome Excel. We also use naturally thin horse hides for the interior, which I think is the clutch move. If you don't use those thin pieces, you just can't get a reasonably thin or reasonable thickness, I suppose, on a construction like this. So that's the Johnny the Fox. I love that design. Let's see. Oh, here's another Chrome Excel piece. This is our brand new keychain belt clip, and this one's in natural Chrome Excel. We've got some cool stuff here. This is solid brass for the clip. I really enjoy this. I loop this around my belt loop and I hang it off my pants like this. And then I'll hang my keys off this side. Some people like to unsnap this part and then hang this whole loop over their belt and then hang their keys from that end. I find that a little bit more challenging to use. But we also have a solid iron flat key ring here. And this is a pretty sweet piece of hardware. I'm really happy with all the hardware on the keychain belt clip. We have a bunch of these shipping out today. Let's go over a couple other ones. So here's a black reverse shell cordovan clip. And there's something special about this sort of green color with that antique brass that goes really well together. And the other one that's paired nicely, we were surprised at how well this works, is the Color 8 Chrome Excel here. And I saw somebody asking where we get our leather from. All the leather we use is from Horween Leather Company, which is across the street from where I'm standing right now. I'm a big fan. So this is Color 8 Chrome Excel from Horween. This is sort of that classic cordovan color, but translated onto the famous Chrome Excel. And it's a nice burgundy shade. On the shell, it's a little bit more brown. On the Chrome Excel, it does read a little bit more burgundy. But there's something cool about that matches really well with the antique brass. And we're really happy about this one too. So let's get to some shell. We haven't seen any shell yet, right? Here's the last. We did a private stock event a week ago. When was that? A week and a half ago. This is the last item, I believe, that was available from that private stock event. I was actually surprised that this one didn't go more quickly, but this is a natural shell cordovan fat Herbie with really cool olive green stitching on the outside. And we've sort of hinted at that olive green on the interior with this reverse green shell. And this is all hand glazed. You get the really great dye marks and the Horween ink stamp in the center. So really like this one with the natural and green combo. That's going out today. And this is the private stock wallet. We try to do unique treasures, I call them, for the private stock events. And that's something like this, something that we don't normally sell and something that's not made to order. Things that excite us that we're trying to do, or maybe we want to use some really interesting leathers that we have in-house that are unique and we can't sell under like a normal SKU. That's what our private stock's all about. Basically, we're having fun and trying to make things that are new and exciting for us. And it seems like people really get into that too. Here's another Herbie, shell stuff. This is a natural shell cordovan fat Herbie. It's one of our first hits that we ever had. The fat Herbie in general, but also the natural shell cordovan. When we launched the company 10 years ago, this was the wallet that sort of put us on the map. People really enjoyed the way that the natural shell cordovan develops patina. And we actually were going to we had plans to do a collaboration 10 years ago with Momotaro to do a natural shell with like a denim stitching to pair with their jeans. And they were going to do a shell cordovan jean patch. That kind of fell through. But that would have been really cool to do. What's up, Jonathan? I see you guys chatting. I just can't read the sentences. I can see names. Let's see. More shell cordovan. I guess we started off with non-shell. So here's a really cool denim blue shell cordovan, Frank the Enforcer. It looks like I need to give this one a little brush. There's some dust on it. But the denim blue shell really reads more of a true blue compared to the intense blue, which is why we started to move towards it. This is another one that's hard for us to keep in stock. We don't get a lot of denim blue shell. Here's a garnet shell cordovan, Frank the Enforcer. Both of these, I should have mentioned, are from our small batch stuff, where we only make a few of them out of special pieces of leather. So this garnet shell is some of the nicest shells that I've ever cut from, or in fact that I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of shells. And the garnet shell is the most red color that Horween makes. Here is that classic color 8 I was talking about on the shell cordovan this time. See how it reads as more of like a dark brown with some reddish burgundy undertones? It's a really interesting color with a dramatic color shift that I really enjoy. And there's a reason that this is the classic color. It's the most popular color of cordovan that Horween makes. You find this in a lot of dress footwear from companies like Allen Edmonds and Alden. You find it all sorts of places. It's a beautiful color. And the last one here is my favorite shell color. This is another small batch piece that we did in the amaretto shell cordovan, that really cool orangey tan shade. And it has that neat color shift that I talk about too much, where sometimes it appears a little bit more bright, vivid orange, and then other angles it's like a little bit more brown and red, like you can see there. It's kind of fun to just tilt it around. So those are the 4 Franks. I think those are all the Franks that are going out today. Let's take a look at some one-shots, because this is a fun one here. You might not know it, but Horween Leather here in Chicago makes all the leather for the NFL footballs as well as the NBA basketballs. They also have done some baseball glove leather for like catcher's mitts. That's a little bit less popular, but every NFL ball, every NBA ball is made out of leather that comes right out of Horween here in Chicago. And this is the exact leather that they use for all the basketballs. We made a couple one-shot card cases, and this one's going out today. If you want to check out basketball in person, just the leather itself is pretty cool. It's a unique look, especially on something like a small leather good. You don't really see it there. Here's a one-shot card case, also in a cool piece of leather. This is Color It Reverse Shell, and we made a couple of these. I think there's only one left, with this nice Horween ink stamp on the back. And I like how the reverse shells wear in. This kind of wears in the same way that the raw shell cordovan wears in. Here's another cool piece. Color 8 shell, that classic color of cordovan. But this has a really neat lizard texture on it. And I'm pretty happy with that. We made 2 of these, I believe, also. And I think I might have to order some more lizard print, because it's pretty neat. I've been a big fan of the Western texture, but I think this might be the second most interesting. Maybe it's because it's on a small piece like this and we have a small texture of the scales of the lizard that I think work really well on this guy. And then, let's show you some black stuff. Here's another Here is another keychain belt clip, but this is the black Chrome Excel. This is the only Chrome Excel color that does not have a pull-up. So when you flex this one, you don't see that color of black change. I do get questions from time to time from people asking, you know, will the black shell change color or will the black Chrome Excel change color? They both change a little differently, although the black shell, which here's a black shell 2-piece watch strap, the black shell does not develop patina. This color doesn't really change from what I've seen. It doesn't get darker. It doesn't get lighter. It doesn't really change. The one thing that you can experience with this is the luster starts to develop in layers. So right now it has sort of just a surface, sort of mirror shine on the surface. But once it's worn, you start to get a little bit more of like a glow from inside of the leather. That's really neat. The black Chrome Excel that we use, in particular this piece, if you look at the cross section, it's natural Chrome Excel here with a black stain coat on top. So when this black is scuffed and scratched, you're gonna see a little bit more of these natural tones pop out. That's the only big change you'll see on this. It doesn't really get darker, it doesn't really fade, but it's pretty nice. So we got this one going out. I also like the antique brass with this black Chrome Excel. It looks really nice. And we got 3 more wallets in color 4 to end it. Wait. I almost forgot another really special piece. I took a video this morning of Lupe making this. I think I'm going to make a YouTube short and an Instagram reel out of this guy. We did some private stock Apple Watch bands just like this in the event about a week and a half ago, and a bunch of people were really interested in it and ordered a couple more, so we made them. But this is intense blue shell cordovan with a contrasting orange stitch and an orange backer. So we've got orange, I believe this is bold orange latigo on the underside. The part that's going to touch your wrist is that piece of latigo or Essex, I'm not sure.
Raw shell.
Oh, this is raw shell? Huh. All right, Matt's across the way here correcting me. So this is raw amaretto. It looks almost like Essex. Yeah, so this is the grain side of the shell, which is what's throwing me off here. So the reverse side of the raw amaretto, which is this pretty sweet orange color, and then it's contrasted with the intense blue on the other side, and then all the edges are stained blue also. So we did make a few more of these, and it's pretty special. And let's look at, we do have 2 color 4 wallets and a color 8. So this is a good comparison to make between the 2 colors. So this in my hand right now, this is color number 4 shell cordovan. It's lighter than the color 8. It's roughly half the darkness of the color 8 here. So here's that color 8, much more like a dark brown burgundy. And when you put them side by side, you can certainly see the difference. It's almost like the color 4 shell here is the light range of where the color 8 normally goes to. So the undertones of the color 8 are kind of like what you see as the normal tones on the color 4. And for a bunch of years, the color 4 shell, that was my favorite shell color. But let's look at the color 8 here. Beautiful piece, really great mirror-like shine, and that's what you want to see on any piece of shell cordovan. It's almost like blinding shine that the shell has. It has to have that, or it's just not right, in my opinion. And here's some shell on the inside here, too. With a nice Horween ink stamp. We try to cut the ink stamps into nice visible spots. Color 4, here's another color 4 piece. This one looks a little bit more brown than some of the color 4 I've seen. It's a little lighter. But, you know, all this leather is hand-finished, so you're going to get a bit of a range. And before we get to the inside, we'll just observe how nice this color 4 is. It's kind of a little caramel at some angles. Other angles, it's a little bit more medium brown with reddish undertones. This is another small batch piece, which I think we have a few left of, that has a reverse interior. The reverse interior on the color 4 is these cool dye marks that you see on the right. It's kind of the same vibe as the color 8 reverse, the same color dye marks. And then this particular one has 2 ink stamps, which looks pretty sweet. And here's that Herbie again. And this one's going to take a moment to explain. So on the outside here, we have shell cordovan and reverse shell cordovan. This bill slot is shell, and it's sitting on top of a piece of reverse shell. And we sort of echoed that on the inside, where we have shell on the inside center with reverse on the card holders. So you get this shell and reverse shell on the outside and on the inside, and that's why I call it double reverse. And I really, really like these Herbies that we did a small batch of. I think they turned out really well. So I think that's everything in the video. Now I'll flip the camera around, try to read your chat and answer any questions you guys have. How you doing? All right, back to the chat. All right. Tal Keatna said District Leather Supply had an Instagram live video the other day. I got a side of Wickett and Craig rusted skirting leather 3 to 4 ounce for $125, and 50 Wickett and Craig pre-cut coasters for $40. Wow, that's a pretty good deal. Wickett and Craig makes really, really good veg. You sort of hit on my, at the moment, all I can think of, the only criticism I have of Horween is I wish they did more like very dense veg, like even stuff for like tooling. I think it would be cool for them to get more into. That's never really been a focus for them, but I think they could do the stuff that I know they can do. They just never have done. So I think they have an opportunity to do more there. But the Wicked stuff's really good. And you got a great deal there. JW Sid's got a Chicago comb and Ashland comb sheath and comb. Nice, man. Ella, first time checking in. What's up? Thanks for coming to hang out, Ella. Appreciate you being here. Jake Dog says, I EDC my metal Chicago comb for over a year now. Great comb. Sheath is awesome looking. People are weirded out by the metal comb. I really like it. I think some people are worried that it's going to cut them because it's like a dense metal piece. And most people are used to like a resin plastic comb or whatever. But they do a lot of work hand finishing all of their metal combs. So they're really smooth. And I tend to really like mine. I like that it doesn't move. I find it to be great. But I also like the carbon fiber stuff they do. Elatam just says, recently got my first nice wallet, Dakota, on the outer bit Pueblo on the pockets. Really cool. I'm not super familiar with that stuff, but that sounds nice. Jim says, the English Channel patina, that belt will go great with anything. Mine hasn't, so I'll do this weird, like, take your belt off thing. Mine hasn't gotten too much darker. It's not light, but it's not, like, dark. Construction. Why won't you focus? All right, focus. Oh, you don't have the autofocus on. Stupid. All right, so it's not, it's not super dark. It's definitely rugged. I don't really do anything to this. So I don't brush it. I don't condition it. I just wear it. It's not super dark. I guess it's kind of brown. So I guess that's a good point. I'll put my belt back on. Ella says, what kind of other leathers have you used? Saw something working with Auschwitz recently. Maybe you wonder what else can be done. That's a fun question. I asked so you might not know this, but I have a relationship with the Horween Leather Tannery, like I said, across the street here. I used to work there for almost 15 years, and I got to see a lot of stuff and became friendly with the tanner over at the tannery. And Chris Kolblinger is the name of the tanner. He's a 5th generation leather tanner, and he went to a bunch of different leather schools in Germany. And I asked him, he was telling me about his experience at the school, and I asked him what's the hardest thing to tan, and he said fish. So I guess any fish stuff is really hard to tan. Some of the coolest stuff I've seen is stingray, which is like, I don't know how practical it is. It seems really delicate, but there's this like gem in the stingray skin that's really neat, that I would highly recommend checking out. And if you got the money and you got the skill to like work with it, the shell cordovan, in particular from Horween, I think is really special. But there's tons of different leathers around the world. I'm very much biased towards the Horween stuff. I really like it. It's just really rich and full. I really like it. I tend to have a tinted glasses view of other stuff because of my history there. But Wickett's amazing. There's tons of great leather out in the world. I would just try to get my hands on many little swatches and try working with it as possible. Master of Play 7 says we exclusively use Horween leather. That's more or less true. We did one item. We've done a couple items out of some non-Horween stuff. I don't even know what it was called, but it was like some veg that Horween didn't make, and we made it as a trial for a company called Tannery Row. They wanted to see some product made out of the leathers that they sell. Yeah, we don't do any exotics. The only thing that we do that's considered exotic is the shell cordovan, and we can kind of fake, or the tannery kind of fakes exotics, like on this lizard print. It's not real lizard skin, but it's the texture pressed into it. So that's sort of like as exotic as we get. We do horse hides, we do bison. I don't really consider those exotics. Talkeetna says traditional big old bifolds are harder to make. You need 2 to 2.5 ounce leather to make it a manageable size. Yeah, we're pretty happy if we get under 3 ounce for our like traditional bifold interiors. It's not easy to do, and they can't have any stretch. That's the other hard part. So we actually had a leather specially made for us from the tannery that is dried in a method called pasting, where they smear out the leather with glue onto these frames and then they run it through an oven, and it doesn't have as much stretch that way. And it's also veg combination tan, so it doesn't have much stretch at all, but it's super strong. So that's what we had them make for us on horse hides, which the horse hides are naturally thin also. Jonathan Lux is here. What's up, Jonathan? Oh, your girlfriend loves your Chrome Excel belt. Hell yeah. That's amazing, man. Talkeetna says, I just got a spam call saying my name and personal information have been used in crimes in the U.S. Marshals are going to get you. You better stay home and craft. Do I have any Concord Chrome Excel? That's a new... So I haven't been at the tannery for a year and a half now. I'm not familiar with Concord Chrome Excel, so I'm going to have to I'm going to text my buddy to see if he knows what Concord Chrome Excel is. And we'll find out. Austin. What's up, Austin? I'm in focus for better or for worse. You'll see all my imperfections. Who am I going to text? I'll text Skip. Do you know what Concord Chrome Excel is? We'll find out. Right. Hey, another stream. Let's go. What's up, Red Cube? Jim's here. All right. Love the Tannery Row. Yeah, they sell a lot of stuff, and Tannery Row is very accommodating. I think there's sort of this like triangle of things in business where you can have it for free, you can have it right now, or you can have it like be really good. And Tannery Row kind of makes it really good, and it's expensive, and it takes a while. So like they're sort of in that spectrum. There's other places you can get leather right now, but it's not unique, and it's cheap, or less expensive. Maybe it's not as nice. Was it cheap, free, or free, whatever. I want it now and really good and free. What do I mean by stretch? Well, okay. So this is what is this? This is a piece of super thin Chrome Excel that we were doing for a bag or something. But if you pull at this leather in a direction or a different direction, it may stretch more or less. The fibers actually go different directions in the hide, and it's pretty interesting. So if you tug it this way, it's probably going to stretch, especially in something like Chrome Excel. If you tug it this way, it might stretch less because the fibers are maybe going perpendicular. You don't want any stretch on a card holder, or you want like it's going to stretch a little bit no matter what you do, but you want the smallest amount of stretch possible, because those cards kind of stretch out, and you don't want your credit cards falling all over the place. So it's nice to have like a really tight non-stretch leather for card holders and for most everything. I don't tend to like stretchy stuff most times. I do like the stretchy stuff for my shoes. I really like Chrome Excel boots. They tend to have a little bit more stretch than most leathers, and that's because the Chrome Excel's air dried. They'll tan this, it's all wet and full of grease and oil, and they hang it up on a hook and just let it dry like that. It's kind of like drying your clothes on a clothesline. And you'll notice that when you dry your clothes on a clothesline or let them air dry, they shrink up a lot more. And when you wear them, you can really feel how much tighter they are. That same thing's happening in the drying method that Horween chooses to use for Chrome Excel. So you will get a little bit more stretch. Like I can stretch this piece. I don't know how much you can see that, but it definitely stretches, which is not necessarily great for a wallet interior. We make Chrome Excel wallets. We pick tight spots in the leather to cut those parts from. So in particular, if you're cutting Chrome Excel, you want to stick towards the bend, is called, in the leather. It's sort of like the prime area to cut. And if you were to visualize a side of leather like the United States, it would sort of be like the area from Northern California north, and California east, and then west of like Pennsylvania. So it's like this rectangle that is the backbone of the leather and the butt of the leather, of the skin. And then you're sort of cropping off the belly and the neck, the bellies and the necks, and then the armpits and the hind quarter, the hind legs tend to have a little bit more fibrous, like looseness in those areas. And we call those the pockets. You'd kind of want to avoid that for anything critical. They tend to be more like spongy, less dense. So Chrome Excel, it requires a lot of understanding, and it's also like kind of delicate. So it will scratch and scuff kind of easily. You can't glue anything to it. Chrome Excel is really difficult to work with, but it's beautiful. Here. So Chrome Excel is just, I don't know, the luster is like super nice. We use these horsehide Chrome Excel pieces on the interior. It's just like a lively looking piece of leather. And I like it a lot. These are really, really, really hard to make. Whoa, Ivan. Oh man. Thank you so much, Ivan. I really appreciate your tip. And the last time we got some tips, I spent more than the tips, but we bought everybody in the shop lunch a week or two ago. So that's where those tips go. And thank you, Ivan. I really appreciate that. Ella Tam says, any tips on caring for my leather conditioners, leather balms, etc.? Yes, okay, so not trying to sell you anything, don't buy it from me. You can buy conditioners that condition the leather in the same way that lotion will condition your skin. So there might be a circumstance where perhaps your leather is starting to get like really dirty looking. You might want to wash that with a mild soap and water and let it air dry. But when you wash it like that, you're kind of pulling out some of the nourishing fats and oils that were tanned into the leather. And you want to replace those fats in the same way that you would want to lotion your hands, or for the same reason that you would want to lotion your hands, is because it stops it from being sort of chapped and dried out looking and feeling. The other thing is if you don't nourish the leather, you can actually crack it and it will disrupt the grain layer and burst it, and it's a very unpleasant look. So you want to keep everything sort of lubricated and moving around. And usually, like especially on Horween stuff, it's like so well tanned. There's so much oil and wax tanned into that leather. You usually don't have to do anything other than brush it. So, I've got a super cheap Amazon brush here. And you just take a soft horsehair brush and sort of just do this, and that's free. The other thing that I've had really good success with is on cordovan, shell cordovan, and you can do this on veg tan stuff. You can just apply a little bit of moisture to the leather and brush the crap out of it. It tends to give it this glow, and it will darken and change the color, so you got to be a little bit careful. But veg tan, when you introduce moisture and then a little bit of heat and friction, it tends to liven it up a great deal. It's almost like you start to get those two layers of luster that I talk about, where you have this sort of like surface shine, but like a glow from inside. You get that when you put a little moisture and brushing on the shell. So for us, the product I sell was developed by that 5th generation leather tanner at Horween. It's called Tanner's Blend. You want to toss me a Tanner's Blend and a Venetian? I don't know. We sell a few different products, but the Tanner's Blend is like a lotion for your hands, and we like it a lot. It's mostly lanolin, so it's a very neutral sort of oil. It's not sticky. It has like a really good feel. Yeah, here's the Tanner's Blend. Boom. So the story is on the back here. It says this, what does it say? This product is meticulously crafted by 8th generation Horween leather coat tanner Chris Kolblinger, developed using his family 400-year history in tanning. This product was originally formulated for personal use. The result is the finest leather cleaner and conditioner. So he comes from a lineage of leather tanners. That's why he's the eighth generation tanners. Wild. So he made this. It's mostly lanolin. We find this to be, I think that this is the best product to use on a leather like Chrome Excel. Skip Horween at the tannery likes to use this on the shell. He's gotten some good results with this. We sell a couple other products that give you more of like a surface luster, and those products tend to have more wax in them. So any polish that you find that has a good amount of wax will give you more surface shine. We use a polish called Venetian Cream, which is very versatile. You can get a bright shine on pretty much anything. It has a little bit more of like a turpentine smell that some people don't like. I actually kind of like it. It doesn't bother me. We also sell a product called Saphir Cordovan Cream, which we use on every piece of shell cordovan that we make. I like that a lot. It has a really bright, shiny luster, and the wax has a good amount of fill. So if there's any scuffs and scratches, it tends to fill in those scratches pretty well. So hopefully that wasn't too long of an answer, but good question. Let me back up on that too. You don't need to do too much. My biggest thing, the leather, just let the leather do the work. Like, don't put stuff on it because you're going to change it. There's a reason that whatever tannery tanned that leather did what they did. And when you introduce more products to it, you're changing what they did and you might not be happy with it. So if you're going to try it, like try a small spot that's maybe not as visible, and you're probably not going to want to do much more than just brush your leather stuff. Ramili has a good question. Oh, and Austin. Oh, I'm sorry. Telketna says maybe Concord Chrome Excel is made with Concord grape juice. I wonder if that is just a color name. Maybe it's like purple. I'm not familiar with Concord Chrome Excel. Austin says free, faster, quality. You only pick 2. Yeah. So Tannery Row is the quality and not free. Ramili says, any tips on taking care of English tan Dublin? Yes. English tan Dublin, because it has a wax layer finished onto the surface of the grain, is incredibly resilient. And if you're a leather crafter, I highly encourage you to try out the Dublin leather. It's finished with a really hard wax onto the grain, and it creates this interesting thing where it's like impervious to scratches. So when you scratch and scuff it, you're only sort of nicking this top like thick layer of wax, and you can sort of melt it back in. And you can melt it back in with your finger. Sometimes we've used a hairdryer here. We use a wheel, and we can get pretty great results out of that. Taking care of Dublin, I wouldn't do anything. Here's my Dublin wallet. I'm trying to not show my credit cards. So I haven't done anything to this Capone. I wonder, it's like a fingerprint. I literally haven't done anything, and it's just getting better and better. It has a really sort of glassy look now. It has a great depth of color, a really nice shine. Don't do anything to the Dublin. I wouldn't mess with it. If you leave it in a hot car, it might cook, and then you might need to, it might be forever damaged. But if you leave some Dublin in the heat, as with any veg tan leathers, you can cook it and you'll make potato chips and they'll crack. And it kind of looks more dull when it gets cooked. And we were talking about when you hit about 130 degrees Fahrenheit for an extended amount of time, I don't know, like over an hour, that's when you start to see some negatives. Hopefully that helps. Michael Wolford, in your opinion, do you think reverse shell robs you of the shell cordovan experience, or does each have their own perks? That's a great question. I kind of feel, I have to think about that. You know what it is? They're super different. So I do feel like sometimes, like if I had to flip this incredible piece of color 4 shell backwards, I'd feel a little wasteful because it's so nice. But this is so unique. Like all the randomization and dye marks, I think are what make things special. It's most of our customers want something unique to them, and all the reverse stuff and all the marbled stuff is completely random. And people really like this kind of look, where you get these random dye marks on the black shell, and people especially like the Horween ink stamp. So we try to cut these sort of interesting dye marks and that ink stamp into visible spots. The other thing that's cool about the reverse shell is it wears in really well. It gets like a bright glassy shine just naturally, just with moisture from your body, a little bit of friction from just walking around with it in your pocket. So the reverse is cool. And the reason that it came up for me was I was working at the tannery and I'd see hundreds of pieces of shell cordovan every day. And then one day I saw a stack of them sitting backwards, piled with the shell side down. And I noticed how interesting that the reverse side looked. So I just made something out of it. And now we get a lot of people asking us for reverse wallets all the time. I should have shown you this. So this is that private stock Herbie that I mentioned. And this is reverse green, and then we hand glazed it. So you get a nice bright shiny luster. This is kind of how the reverse wears in naturally. And it's shinier than this in person. But these dye marks are really neat. If it will focus for you. That's pretty cool. So when you see something the intended way for so long and you get used to it, I maybe I went insane and like flipped it backwards, but the reverse is cool. It does feel a little wasteful. I feel a little wasteful in the same way I feel wasteful when they make chrome excel horse butts. Like Viberg has done those. I know people love that. I'd rather just have the shell, but the reverse is pretty cool. So I'm big on long answers today, so hopefully that wasn't too long. Yeah, Ramilly, don't do too much to your English in Dublin. It's just amazing as is. Just brush it. Red Cube says, how long does it take to make Dublin in Chrome Excel? Good question. My buddy Nick Horween wrote a blog post on horweenleather.com describing the process for Chrome Excel. And in one of my recent interviews, we talked about the Chrome Excel. You can think of this as marketing spin because it kind of is, but that leather is very tough to make. It takes every day of 28 working days, every single day. Plus, like, it's complicated, but it goes through 5 stories, 5 different floors at the tannery. And that particular product has like everything possible that they can do there. They do a process called hot stuffing, which is incredibly intense, where they pound in waxes and oils in a steam heated drum, which is really unique. And excuse me for the crazy noises. We got some construction going on. But the Chrome Excel takes 28 days. The Dublin, when it was originally made, took 3 months, and that's because they were pit tanning it when we were first developing that leather. But the Dublin you can also make in about 28 days. 21 if you're like really pushing it. But the Chrome Excel takes forever to make. And then the shell cordovan, to do it right, to make it the best it could be, is minimum 6 months. You can make it faster, it's just not as good. And I think that's where some other cordovan tanneries make a mistake. All right. Talkeetna says, Ramilly, if your leather is sun-baked or dry, you can use some Saphir cream, but I've been using a Dublin wallet for over a year. Nothing has ever been required for maintaining it. Correct. I would suggest a more... I don't know what Saphir product you're recommending, but there's like a Renovateur that could condition it pretty well. More branded stuff from Aaron. What's up, Aaron? Yeah, we tried to do the branded stuff for the private stock events, and we look at the calendar here. We probably have a private stock event coming up in maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4. We tried to do 1 a month. All right, Ella, thanks for coming. And Marco's here too. I'm going to try wrapping it up here because we got to ship all the wallets we just showed you. Genesis, what's up? Glad you could catch a live stream too. Total leather nerds. All right, guys. We're going to ship some stuff. I would love to see a video building the Bugs Ran one day. Maybe it's easier in shorts. Yeah, I spent about an hour filming some of our production process today. I'm going to make a short or two out of that. It's kind of tough with me right now with my like personal schedule to do as much content that I want to do. I like these live streams because I can do it and it's done. I don't have to edit it and like upload it and do all that stuff. So these are helpful for me. But like with a kid at home, I'm not doing nearly as much as I want to do. Hopefully I can get it figured out. But I want to do more videos of the tannery. I want to do more videos with like people's hands doing stuff, which is challenging when I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants. But yeah, I want to do that too. I wanted to do a video of making each product like once a month. We're behind that already. We did 2 different wallets so far with the mirror. This morning I filmed Lupe making this strap, which is pretty sweet. It's kind of like a combo machine stitch and hand stitch. So I filmed her making some of this, which I'll make a short out of. Or if you're on our Instagram, I'll do a reel out of that also. The other thing I should mention is you might want to check out our Facebook page. I like to take photos of most everything we do and drop every photo on Facebook. So if you want to see a bunch of different leathers and colors and combos and stuff, just go on our Facebook page and click photos. You'll see literally thousands of different wallets. The International Capone. Yes. Thanks for reminding me of that. Do I have that on my board? I'll put that on my board. I told people I would do that like 4 months ago. I'd like to do that. All right, Talkeetna and Jim, you guys are super fans here every time. I really appreciate it, especially because I don't give you any notice. It's like you're just like good timing for me to have you here. All right, I appreciate you guys so much. Ivan, thank you so much for the tip. That's really meaningful, and I really appreciate that. Just it's more of like a gesture that lets me know like how much you care, and I care too. So I'm glad that you're able to nerd out with me on some leather stuff. And hopefully I'll be back again later this week. My brother Matt is going out of town, so if you're emailing us, you're going to get me, hopefully, and hopefully I give you a quick answer. So if you need us, you can message us on a comment here. You can email at info@ashlandleather.com. Everybody your wallet is in the video today. I can't wait to have these. There's so much good stuff in here. I can't even pick a stunner. I guess I have to pick, like, surprised again how this one this private stock Kirby took so long to go because I think it's so special. So I'm going to pick this guy as my stunner. All right. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you later.